the signal that changed everything. Jack Wilson was not a hero. He was a simple man, 34 years old, living alone, and working as a satellite engineer in a remote lab on Earth. His life was quiet, boring, and full of routine. Every day, he checked signals, fixed code, and drank the same cheap coffee. But one night, everything changed. It was 2:13 a.m. Jack was alone in the control room, half asleep, when he noticed something strange. One of the old satellite receivers had picked up a weak signal. At first, he thought it was just space noise, some random radio waves from deep space. That was normal. Space was full of useless noise. But this was different. Jack turned up the volume. A soft voice came through, broken, static, but clearly a voice. "Please, help. I'm not safe. Only human can save me." Jack sat up straight. He replayed the message again and again. Each time it sounded clearer. The voice was female, scared, and speaking English, but with an accent he had never heard before. He ran a scan. The signal wasn't bouncing from Earth. It was coming from outside the solar system, a place far beyond the last known space probes, a place no human had ever been. "Is this a joke?" he whispered. He sent the file to his boss. He called NASA. He even contacted a private space company, but nobody cared. They said it was a fake, a glitch, maybe an echo from old Earth radio. But Jack couldn't let it go. He started dreaming about the voice. Every night, the same message, the same fear. Something inside him was pulling, like he was meant to hear it. So Jack made a choice. He broke into the lab's secret files. There was an old prototype spacecraft hidden underground. Small, fast, never tested. Meant only for cargo. But Jack was an engineer. He worked on that ship years ago. He knew how to make it fly. He spent days getting it ready. Stealing parts, avoiding cameras, lying to his coworkers. He had never broken a rule in his life. Now he was about to break the biggest one of all. He downloaded the signal's coordinates. The source was in the Endarian galaxy, over 70,000 light-years away. Too far, too dangerous. No human had ever gone that far, but Jack didn't care. He had nothing on Earth, no family, no love, nothing holding him back. And someone out there, someone was calling him. On the night of his launch, the sky was clear. The stars looked brighter. Jack wore a suit 2 sizes too big. The ship creaked and shook like an old car. It had no weapons, no backup. Just him, a voice recorder, and the coordinates. He looked at Earth one last time. "Guess I'm crazy," he said, smiling. The engines fired. Light flashed. The ground shook. And Jack Wilson, satellite engineer, became the first human to travel to the edge of known space. Alone. Inside the ship, the signal played again. "Please, if you hear this, don't stop. You're my only hope." Hours turned into days. Jack passed planets he couldn't name, colors he couldn't describe. The universe was not empty. It was alive, burning, whispering, watching. Then, on the 7th day, his ship began to slow down. The autopilot locked on a planet, unknown, unmapped, covered in clouds and glowing blue light. Jack's hands trembled. He had arrived. He sent a message to Earth, but there was no response. Suddenly, alarms screamed. The ship was under attack. Drones, small, black, fast, shot at him from nowhere. He tried to dodge, but one hit the wing. The ship spun out of control. Jack crashed hard. Metal screamed. Fire burst. Darkness followed. When he woke up, he was lying in soft grass. The sky above was purple. Giant trees floated in the air. Everything felt like a dream. And then he saw her. A girl. Not human. Skin like the night sky. Eyes like stars. She stood tall, calm, and glowing. "You came?" she said softly. Jack stared at her, shocked. "You're real," she nodded. "My name is Lyra, and you are in great danger." Before Jack could speak, he heard something behind him. A deep, heavy noise, like machines walking. Lyra looked into his eyes. They are coming for you now, because you came for Furser. Crash landing on her planet. Jack Wilson had crash-landed on a planet no human had ever seen before. Smoke rose from the broken ship behind him. His head hurt. His chest felt tight. But what shocked him the most was not the crash. It was her. Lyra. She looked like something from a dream. Or a nightmare. Her skin was deep blue with silver veins running across like lightning. Her long white hair moved gently, even though there was no wind. Her eyes glowed softly, not with light, but with sadness. You're real, Jack said again, his voice barely a whisper. Lyra nodded. I called, and you came, but it's not safe here. Jack tried to stand, but his knees were weak. What? Is this place? Where am I? Lyra didn't answer. Instead, she grabbed his arm and pulled him forward. Her touch was warm, strangely human. Come, she said. Before they find us. They ran. Behind them, the sound grew louder. Metal footsteps, buzzing drones, a sharp whistling in the air like knives being thrown. Jack looked back. Black machines moved through the smoke. Tall, like skeletons made of metal and bone. Red, eyes glowed from their heads. They didn't run. They hunted. Who are they? Jack gasped. The Zorak, Lyra said. They control this world now, and they want me dead. As they ran through a glowing forest, trees with floating roots and strange purple leaves, Jack noticed the sky. It wasn't just purple. It was alive. Giant creatures flew across the clouds, leaving trails of light. It was beautiful, but deadly. This doesn't make sense, Jack said. Why did you call me? Why only a human? Lyra stopped near a cliff edge. Below was a huge crater, filled with blue fire and broken machines. Because, she said slowly, only a human can break the curse they gave me. Jack stared at her, confused. Lyra sat down on a rock. She looked tired, like she hadn't slept in years. I was born in a lab, she began. Created by Zorak scientists. They wanted a perfect queen, beautiful, powerful, and fully obedient. But I escaped. I killed one of them the day I learned the truth, and ran. Jack sat beside her, breathing heavily. And the curse? They put something in my blood, she said, a lock, a chain. My body cannot fully live and it cannot fully die, unless it connects with a human. Jack blinked. Wait, what kind of connection? Lyra looked away. Not like that. I don't need love. I need your DNA, your cells. You are different from any species in this galaxy. Your presence alone weakens their system. Jack felt a chill down his spine. Was this why she called him? Was he just a tool? Why me? He asked. Why not someone else? Lyra looked into his eyes. Because you were the only one who listened. Suddenly the ground shook. A blast hit a tree nearby, making it explode in blue fire. The Zorak had found them. Lyra stood and raised her hand. A pulse of light burst from her palm, knocking 2 drones into the sky. Jack's heart pounded. Can you fight them all? No, she said. But I can slow them down. They ran again, deeper into the forest. After some time, they reached a hidden cave under a waterfall. Inside, glowing crystals lit the walls. Machines, some broken, some still working, lay scattered across the floor. This was my brother's lab, Lyra whispered. Jack froze. Your brother? Lyra nodded. Not by blood. He was the first human I called. His name was Elijah. Jack's breath caught in his throat. Elijah Wilson. That was his brother's name. Wait, Elijah Wilson? That's my brother. He disappeared 10 years ago. Lyra stared at him, shocked. Then you're his blood. Jack looked around. A rusted human helmet lay on a shelf, a broken photograph of 2 smiling boys. My God, Jack whispered. He really was here. Lyra touched the photo gently. He tried to help me. He stayed. He fought them. But one day, he didn't return. Jack clenched his fists. So, this is why I heard the signal. Because of him. Suddenly, a wall panel lit up. A message blinked. If anyone sees this, I'm sorry I couldn't save her. I failed. E.W. Jack felt a tear roll down his cheek. His brother had died on this planet. Alone. But now, Jack was here, and he would not fail. I'm staying, Jack said firmly. Lyra looked at him with a strange expression. You will die if you stay. Then I'll die trying. Just then, a deep, growling voice echoed from outside the cave. You cannot hide, Lyra. Surrender the human. The voice wasn't human. It was layered, broken, cold. Jack grabbed a strange-looking weapon from the wall. It hummed in his hand. Guess I'm in this now, he said. Lyra smiled, but her eyes were full of worry. We fight together, she said. Outside, heavy footsteps approached. The real war was just beginning. The truth about Lyra's curse. The cave was silent except for the sound of Jack's breathing. The voice outside had gone quiet, but the tension remained, heavy like a storm cloud. Jack stood beside Lyra, holding the alien weapon. It was smooth and cold in his hand, yet pulsing with a strange energy. He wasn't trained to fight. He was an engineer, a thinker, not a soldier. But now, he had no choice. You've fought them before? He asked. Lyra nodded. Many times, and each time I lose a little more of myself. Jack looked at her. What do you mean? She didn't answer right away. Instead, she walked to the far side of the cave, where a set of silver vines hung over a crystal wall. She brushed them aside and revealed something strange. A mirror made of living metal. It rippled as she touched it. Watch, she said. The mirror came to life. A memory played, bright and sharp. It showed Lyra, but younger. Her skin was brighter, her eyes full of curiosity. She stood in a white lab, surrounded by machines and strange-looking aliens in robes. This was the day I was born, she said. Created, not born. Jack watched closely. One of the alien scientists injected her with a glowing red liquid. Lyra screamed in pain. Her veins turned black for a moment, then faded back to blue. That's the curse, she whispered. They called it the binding code, a genetic lock. It makes me theirs forever. Why would they do that? Jack asked, horrified. They feared me, she said. I was made too perfect, too free. They wanted a queen they could control. But I refused. I learned emotions. I learned rebellion. She paused. And so they punished me. Jack stared at the image. So how do I fit into this? Lyra turned to him. Her expression was hard to read. Part sorrow, part hope. The curse was made to reject all alien DNA except one type. Human. The Zorak thought humans were extinct outside of Earth. They didn't know your kind would ever reach this far. Jack rubbed his forehead. Let me guess. My brother, Elijah, he tried to cure you. Lyra looked away. Yes, he found a way, but before he could finish, he was taken. Jack felt a sudden rush of anger. Taken? By who? By them, she whispered. And maybe he never died. Jack stepped back. What? Lyra nodded slowly. There is a rumor that the Zorak used him in their experiments. They tried to understand what made humans special, what made us compatible. Jack felt his legs weaken. His brother might still be alive, or worse, used. Before he could speak, the cave trembled again. Boom! The entrance exploded in a flash of white light. 2 tall Zorak machines entered. They looked like armored ghosts, long arms, sharp claws, and no faces, only red eyes. Lyra didn't wait. She raised her hand, sending a wave of energy that knocked one into the wall. Jack lifted his weapon. It responded like it knew his mind, firing, a pulse that blasted through the second machine's chest. Smoke rose. Silence returned. Jack stared at the weapon. "What was that?" Lyra smiled faintly. "You're changing." Jack looked at her, confused. "What do you mean?" "The curse. It's not just in me anymore," she said. "When I called you, our link began. You crossed a line no human ever did. Now, your body is reacting to this planet. To me." Jack stepped back. "Wait, am I turning into something else?" "Not yet," she said softly. "But your DNA is syncing with mine. That's how the curse breaks. That's why you're the only one who can help." Jack felt a cold chill down his spine. He didn't sign up for this. He wanted to help. He didn't want to become alien. "I need time," he said. "I need to think." "There's no time," Lyra said. "They'll come again, stronger." Jack paced the cave, trying to breathe. His mind was spinning. His brother was possibly alive. He was now half-linked to an alien girl, and some evil alien empire wanted them both dead. "I just wanted to help," he muttered. "I didn't want to become part of some war." Lyra touched his arm. "You came. That means something. Not many would risk their lives for a voice from the stars." Jack looked into her eyes. "I didn't come just because of the voice," he said. "I came because I felt like I was meant to." Lyra's eyes softened. Suddenly, a strange humming filled the air. A panel on the wall lit up. Elijah's old recording device. A new message played. "If you're hearing this, it means Lyra survived. Good. Listen carefully. There is a core beneath this planet. The source of her curse. I found it, but I couldn't destroy it. If Jack ever hears this, finish what I started. Save her. Even if it means losing yourself." Jack froze, Lyra whispered. "He knew you would come." The message ended with a set of coordinates. Jack looked at Lyra. "Then we go there," he said. "We end this." She nodded. Together. As they left the cave, walking into the glowing forest, a shadow watched them from above. Not a Zorak drone. A man, with human eyes, wearing Zorak armor. He turned away and spoke into a device. "The second one has arrived. Prepare the chamber." The betrayal. Jack and Lyra moved quickly through the glowing forest, guided by the coordinates Elijah left behind. Strange plants lit up under their feet. The sky above was darker now, filled with quiet thunderclouds that sparked without sound. The path was not just physical, it was emotional. Jack had learned more in the past 2 days than in his whole life. Aliens, genetic curses, his brother's final mission. A girl who wasn't even supposed to exist, but something else haunted him. A face, a pair of eyes, human eyes, wearing enemy armor. Jack hadn't told Lyra what he saw, not yet. They reached the edge of a black cliff. Below was a valley shaped like a spiral with a massive structure in the middle, half alien fortress, half living creature. It breathed, pulsed, and glowed with dark green light. "That's it," Lyra said. "The core." Jack stared at it. "That's where your curse began?" Lyra nodded. "And where it must end." But even as she said it, her voice was shaky. Her eyes looked tired. Jack noticed it. She was slowing down. "You okay?" he asked. She gave a weak smile. "It's harder now. The link between us is growing stronger. My energy is passing into you. That means I'm fading." Jack's chest tightened. "What happens if the link finishes?" Lyra hesitated. "Then you become like me. And I become empty." Jack didn't reply. He felt something he didn't expect. Fear. Not of aliens. Not of dying. But of losing someone he didn't even know he cared about this much. Suddenly, A flash of movement came from behind the trees. Jack spun around, weapon raised. A man stepped out. Tall, strong, wounded armor, half human, half Zorak tech. His face, older, tired, familiar. Jack's heart stopped. Elijah? Lyra gasped. The man said nothing at first. He looked at Jack with hollow eyes, then finally spoke. I told you not to come here, brother. Jack almost dropped the weapon. It's really you, he whispered. Elijah stepped forward. His voice was calm but strange. You shouldn't have followed my signal. I never meant for anyone to find me. Jack walked forward, tears rising in his eyes. I thought you were dead. We searched for you for years. I was dead, Elijah said, to Earth, to you. But here, I became something else. Lyra stepped between them. What did they do to you? Elijah looked at her with pain. They didn't do anything I didn't allow. I made a deal. I gave them my body to save her. Jack frowned. What deal? Became part of them, Elijah said. Zorak tech in my blood, half machine, half human. In return, they let her live. That was the price. Jack shook his head. No, that's not saving her. That's betraying yourself. No, Elijah said quietly. The betrayal came later. He turned to Lyra. You never told him, did you? Jack's eyes darted to Lyra. Told me what? Lyra looked away. Her lips tightened. She didn't speak. Jack's stomach turned. What is he talking about? Elijah spoke, voice heavier now. She didn't call just you. You weren't her first human connection. I was. Jack froze. What? Elijah nodded. She called me first. I came to save her just like you. I helped her escape. We fought together. I loved her. Lyra whispered. Elijah, stop. No, Elijah shouted. Tell him the truth. Tell him what? You did. Jack looked at her, shocked. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. I didn't mean for it to happen that way. Elijah's voice broke. She used me, for the same reason she's using you, to break her curse. Jack stepped back. Is that true? Lyra reached for him. Jack, I never lied about the curse, but with you, it's different. Jack's mind spun. So, I'm just another tool? Like Elijah? No, she cried. With you, I feel something real. Elijah's voice turned cold. Don't believe her. She's programmed to adapt, to attach. The link is emotional. The more you care, the faster the bond works. It's not love. It's code. Jack dropped the weapon. He felt sick, used, broken. Lyra fell to her knees. Jack, please. I didn't want this. I was desperate. They were killing me. I needed help, but I never meant to hurt you. Elijah stepped closer. Walk away, Jack. Let me finish this. I've lived with this pain for 10 years. Let me end it. Jack looked at his brother. He looked older, sad, but something wasn't right. You're not here to save her, Jack said slowly. You're here to kill her. Elijah said nothing. Jack's voice turned sharp. The Zorak didn't keep her alive out of kindness. They kept her alive so you'd come back and kill her yourself. That's the real deal, isn't it? Elijah's silence confirmed it. Jack grabbed the weapon again and stepped in front of Lyra. No, he said. She made mistakes. So did you. But I came here on my own. I decide what happens now. Elijah's face turned cold. Then you're a fool. A blinding light flashed. Elijah attacked, his arm turning into a blade. Jack blocked just in time. Sparks flew. Lyra screamed, Stop! Please! But the brothers were locked in combat, past versus present, loyalty versus truth, love versus betrayal. Finally, Jack landed a blow, knocking Elijah back. He fell, bleeding from his side. Breathing heavily, Jack said, You died trying to save her. Don't die trying to kill her. Elijah looked up, broken. I already died the day she chose you. He passed out. Silence fell again. Lyra touched Jack's hand. I'm sorry. Jack looked away. We all are. He stared down the cliff, toward the core. "There's no more running," he said. "We end this. Together." Inside the enemy's fortress. The wind howled as Jack and Lyra stood at the edge of the cliff, staring down at the living fortress. It breathed. It pulsed. It watched them. The structure wasn't just built. It was grown. Black roots wrapped around jagged metal towers, and glowing green veins pulsed under the surface. Drones circled above it like flies. The energy in the air felt alive, like the fortress knew they were coming. And it was hungry. Jack glanced back at Elijah, unconscious and tied to a tree behind them. His brother was alive, but not the same, changed by years of suffering, twisted by betrayal. "I still can't believe it," Jack whispered. "He was trying to kill you." Lyra's eyes were heavy with pain. "I broke him. I used him. I never got to say sorry." Jack's grip tightened on his weapon. "We end this now. No more running, no more secrets." They descended into the valley. The ground crackled under their feet like old bones breaking. As they got closer, the gate of the fortress opened. By itself. "That's not a good sign," Jack muttered. Lyra didn't smile. "They're letting us in. That means they're ready." Inside, the temperature dropped. The air turned cold and wet like a cave filled with fog. Strange lights flickered along the walls, some green, some red, some blinking like a dying heart. Then Jack saw it. Hall of Failures, rows and rows of glass tubes lined the corridor. Inside each tube, there was a body, humanoid, twisted. Some half-human, some completely alien. All dead. Some still twitched. Jack leaned in. His face went pale. "That one. It looks like me." Lyra nodded slowly. "They've been trying to clone you from Elijah. They want to understand human DNA so they can copy your ability to resist the curse. But it never worked." Jack's stomach turned. "How many times did they try?" Lyra looked away. "Too many." They kept walking. The deeper they went, the more unnatural everything became. Walls made of living tissue. Floors that squished under their feet. Machines with eyes. Vents that whispered their names. At last, they reached the core chamber, a vast circular room. At its center, a glowing orb, bright red, floating above black. Thorns. Around it stood 4 tall figures, Zorak elders. They were nothing like the drones or machines. These were ancient beings, tall, thin, their skin stretched like leather over bones. Their eyes glowed with silver light. They didn't speak with mouths. They spoke straight into Jack's and Lyra's minds. "You brought him. The second one. The brother. His blood is stronger. His mind is open. He is the final key." Jack flinched. "Get out of my head." Lyra stood firm. "Let us destroy the core. End this." The elders laughed inside their minds. "You cannot destroy what you do not understand. The core is not a machine, it is a soul." Suddenly, a scream echoed through the room. Jack turned and saw Elijah being dragged into the chamber by 2 drones. He was awake now, fighting, bleeding, broken. "No," Jack shouted. "Let him go." One elder raised a hand. Elijah's body floated into the air, suspended like a puppet. "He gave himself to us. His soul is already part of the core." Jack's weapon shook in his hand. His heart pounded. "Lyra, what do we do?" She was silent, eyes locked on the core. Tears welled in her eyes. "I know what it is now," she said softly. "It's not just a power source. It's a prison." Jack looked at her. "What?" Lyra turned to him. "The curse inside me. The code. It's connected to this core. But the core is alive. It's a living piece of something, or someone. Someone like me. She remembers," the elders hissed. Jack's voice was sharp. "Who's in there?" Lyra's voice trembled. "My mother." Jack's eyes widened. "What?" "I was made in a lab, but not alone. They used her DNA. She was the first. The original, the failed queen. They turned her into the core and used her to control me. Jack stared at the glowing red orb. The light pulsed faster like a beating heart. So if we destroy it, I'm free, Lyra said. But she dies completely. Jack's voice softened. Are you ready to do that? Lyra looked down. No. Suddenly the elders raised their hands. The ground shook. Metal vines erupted from the floor, grabbing Jack and pulling him down. Enough talk. The human will merge. We will evolve. We will become perfect. Jack screamed, struggling. Lyra shouted, Let him go. The vines wrapped tighter. Then, something changed. The weapon in Jack's hand exploded with white light. It burned through the vines like fire. Jack stood, glowing. His eyes, no longer just human. The link had completed. Jack was no longer just Jack. He was something else. He raised his hand and blasted the nearest elder with a beam of pure energy. The creature screamed and turned to dust. The others moved in. Lyra joined the fight, sending out pulses of energy, shielding Jack as he attacked again and again, but the core pulsed faster now, unstable. Elijah floated higher, screaming, Jack, he's part of it now, Lyra shouted. If the core dies, he dies too. Jack froze. His brother's life, or her freedom, the final choice. Jack's hands trembled. Elijah's voice broke through the noise. Do it, Jack. Don't let me be their weapon. Jack locked eyes with Lyra. She nodded. With a scream, he sent a final blast into the core. The room exploded in light. Everything went white. The last human decision. There was only light. White, endless light. Jack floated in nothingness. No sky, no ground. Just silence and a strange feeling like he was inside a dream but fully awake. He couldn't feel his body, but he felt something else. A presence. Multiple voices began to speak, but they weren't speaking in words. They were speaking in memory. You were never meant to be here. You came too far, crossed too many lines. But that's what makes you human. Images flashed across the space around him. Jack as a child, building radios in his room, his mother's hands, guiding him through his first circuit board, his brother Elijah, laughing, back before the pain. And then, Lyra, her first glance, her touch, her pain, her hope. The images faded and the voices became one. You now carry two paths. One leads to life. One leads to loss. Choose. Suddenly, Jack fell. Back into reality. The core room was burning. The walls cracked. The red orb pulsed out of control. Elders screamed as their forms collapsed. Drones exploded. The ceiling crumbled. But Jack didn't notice any of that. He was staring at Elijah, floating above the core, trapped in a cage of red energy, and he was staring at Lyra, on her knees, weak, shaking, bleeding from her eyes. The final decision had come, destroy the core, and Lyra would be free. But Elijah would die, his soul already merged with the prison, or stop the destruction, and save Elijah. But the curse would remain forever. Jack's hands shook. The weapon buzzed, ready to fire again. No, he whispered. Not like this. Lyra looked up at him. I'm ready, she said. I want to be free. Elijah coughed, struggling to breathe. Don't let her do this for me, Jack. She's waited so long. I've made peace with who I am. Jack shouted, You're my brother. And you're more than that now, Elijah said. You're the bridge between two species. One human, one alien. Maybe both. Jack dropped to his knees, shaking. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a hero, but now he had to choose who would live. Tears filled his eyes. Why does every choice feel like a punishment? Lyra crawled beside him. Because real choices come with pain, she whispered. Then, without warning, she stood. She reached toward the core and began to merge with it. No. Jack screamed. Lyra turned and gave him a weak smile. You don't have to choose anymore. I choose. The red light swallowed her body, and the core began to scream, a sound like 10,000 broken voices. Jack ran toward her, but it was too late. Her body disappeared inside the orb. The weapon Jack held cracked, and then dissolved into dust. Then, suddenly, everything stopped. The light faded, the fortress grew quiet, and the core turned blue, soft, calm, still. Elijah dropped to the ground with a thud, alive, gasping, human again. Jack rushed to him. Are you okay? Elijah nodded, weak. She took my place. She became the core. Jack stood slowly. There was no celebration, no music, no cheering, just silence. Lyra was gone, but not dead. She had taken the curse into herself and locked it away forever. 1 week later, the planet was quiet now. The fortress had melted into the ground. The drones were dead. The Zorak were no longer tracking the signal. Jack and Elijah stood in a valley of flowers, real, untouched. The sky was blue for the first time. Elijah leaned on a stick. So, what now? Jack looked at the stars. We go home. You've been gone long enough. Elijah chuckled. Do you really think Earth is ready for all this? Jack smiled faintly. Earth's never ready, but we are. They turned back to the ship, Elijah's old one repaired with leftover alien tech. Before stepping inside, Jack turned around one last time. He could feel her, somewhere beneath the planet, inside the new core. Still alive, still watching. Thank you for choosing us both. The voice was faint, like a whisper in the wind. Jack closed his eyes. I'll come back, he whispered, someday. Meanwhile, in a forgotten Zorak vault in the ruins of the Elders' archives, a light blinked. A survivor crawled from the wreckage, Zorak flesh rebuilt with human limbs. It wasn't Elijah, it wasn't Jack. It was something else. Born from failed experiments, a hybrid, angry, powerful. It opened its glowing yellow eyes and smiled. The queen is not free. She's trapped again, and this time, I will be the one they remember. It turned toward the stars. The story wasn't over. It was just beginning again. Humanity's answer. 6 months later. The Earth had changed, not because the world knew what had happened light years away, but because Jack Wilson had changed. He was back. Elijah too. NASA couldn't explain it. Jack's body had strange readings. His cells were different. Still human, but touched by something more. Elijah refused to speak about the time he spent away. And Jack? He gave only one answer. I didn't go alone. I came back. Without her. At night, Jack would sit on the roof of his small home in Nevada, staring at the stars. Always the same one star, the one he now called Lyra's star. He remembered her voice, her bravery, her sacrifice. But he also remembered the final words he heard before leaving that planet. The queen is not free. She's trapped again. Something wasn't right. He could feel it. Meanwhile, on the far side of the galaxy deep beneath the surface of the Yar, planet once ruled by the Zorak, something stirred. The new core pulsed with a slower, bluer rhythm. Inside, Lyra slept, or maybe endured, a different kind of prison, one she chose for herself. But she wasn't alone anymore. Something else had awakened. A hybrid, created in secret by the Elders before they died. A failed weapon, part human, part Zorak, but with a new mission. You are the last queen, it whispered to her, walking circles around the sleeping core. And I will be your king, or your end. He was faster, stronger, unburdened by emotion. But he was missing one thing: humanity. Back on Earth, the decision Jack couldn't sleep. The dreams had returned, visions of Lyra crying out in pain, her voice echoing in his skull. He'd seen a message in the stars, an anomaly from her planet. It was subtle, quiet, a ripple of blue energy. Only he could read it, a signal only meant for him. "Jack," Elijah said one night, "you're thinking about going back, aren't you?" Jack didn't answer. "You know what that place did to you, what it almost made you become." "I'm already not the same," Jack whispered. "You know that." Elijah sighed. "If you go back, there might not be a return." Jack stood, watching the dark sky. "Then I'll make sure she comes back instead." The return to the Starjack didn't take a warship. He took a message pod, a single pilot vessel used for silent travel. No weapons, just hope. And an old voice recording of Lyra, still stored in the ship's log. He landed at night. The planet had changed. No longer war-torn and broken, but silent and cold. The ground was covered in blue ice, glowing faintly in the dark. Jack walked through the ruins, heart heavy, senses alert. He followed the signal. It led him underground, deep into the roots of the former Zorak fortress, now turned into a living tomb. He entered the core chamber and saw her, floating, sleeping, glowing, but not peacefully. Chains, made of light, wrapped around her arms, and behind her stood him, the hybrid. "You came," the creature said, smiling. "Good. We've been waiting." Jack raised his hands. "I'm not here to fight." "You never were," the hybrid said. "But she was. And now she's mine." Jack stepped closer. "She chose sacrifice. You don't understand that." "No," the hybrid growled. "I understand power, and I want hers. But she won't wake. Not for me." Jack frowned. "What do you mean?" The hybrid pointed at him. "She's still linked to you. Even now, she won't open her eyes unless you are here, but once she does, I take her energy. I become the core." Jack's voice dropped. "And what if I stop you?" "You won't," the creature said, walking forward. "Because if you fight me, you'll break the link, she'll die, and if you let me take her, she lives. But not as who she was." Jack stood still, a new kind of decision. No fight this time. No weapon. Just a choice. Then he whispered, "I believe in her, not in you." He took one final step forward, placed his hand on the core, and closed his eyes. The final bond inside. His mind, the world, vanished. He found her, alone, standing on an ocean made of light. She turned, eyes wide. "Jack?" He ran to her, held her. "You're not alone anymore," he said. "You never were," she cried in his arms. "I didn't think you'd come back. I never left you." The world began to shift. The core began to break. Outside, the awakening, the hybrid screamed. "No, she's rejecting me. The bond, what are you doing?" Jack opened his eyes, now fully glowing. "We're choosing something you can't understand." The core shattered into 1,000 stars. Lyra floated, free, her eyes opened. She stood, glowing, golden, alive. "You don't control me anymore," she said. The hybrid lunged, but Lyra didn't raise her hand. Jack did. He unleashed one final blast of human and alien energy. Two beings bonded by choice, not control. The hybrid disintegrated into nothing. The new signal weeks later, a new satellite appeared near Earth. It played a short message, again and again. Humanity answered the call, not with war, not with fear, but with love, with choice. We are not alone anymore. The message was signed, Jack Wilson, Guardian of the Bridge. Epilogue: a new home. Jack and Lyra never returned to Earth. Instead, they built something new, between E and worlds. A city in the stars, open to all species. where humans and aliens could meet without fear. Some called it a myth. Others called it the First Contact Embassy. But Jack just called it home. And far in the stars, a new signal began to pulse, not a cry for help, but a welcome.